Hello and welcome to Exposed News Outlet, where we shed light on topics that matter most. I'm your host, Andrea. Today, we're discussing the DOJ violating the Epstein Transparency Act that was just signed into law. But before we do, if we could just ask that you please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Select all in the notification box so you get all my latest updates. And please like the video and share it on your platforms so we spread the message and get the word out. Too much disinformation. Now, without further ado, let's get to the video. DOJ violating Epstein Transparency Act. What the Epstein Files Transparency Act required. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is a federal law passed in Congress and signed by Donald Trump that mandates the DOJ publicly release all unclassified Epstein-related records in its possession, including investigative files, communications, internal memos, FBI reports, grand jury documents, and attachments within 30 days of the law being signed, which was a week ago Friday. Key obligations in the new law included searchable, downloadable, public posting of all unclassified documents, which didn't happen. DOJ must provide an unredacted list of all government officials and public figures named or referenced, meaning identity disclosures can't be hidden just to protect reputations. That certainly was not. I mean, they literally released pages that were completely black. DOJ must provide an unredacted list of all government officials. DOJ must explain and justify any withholdings or redactions within 15 days to Congress why certain records were withheld, classified, or blacked out, which, let's see, this is yet to happen. The law allows withholding only to protect personally identifiable victim information, jeopardize ongoing investigations, or classified national security material, not to avoid embarrassment or reputational impact. Deadline: documents were legally supposed to be fully released and searchable by December 19th, 2025. Fast forward to today, and we still have a fraction of the files. More were released early Tuesday morning, December 23rd. This is not transparency. This is obstruction, and it's illegal. The Trump DOJ just violated federal law in the Epstein case, and today I'm breaking it down exactly how. Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act to expose everyone involved, not to protect politicians, not to shield abusers, and not to silence survivors. Watch this clip.
Hello, everybody. David Schuster here. One of the latest Epstein documents released by the Department of Justice accuses Donald Trump of rape. Headline: unnamed victim alleges Trump raped her. Quote: among the newly released materials is an FBI case file F-000-20518 dated October 2020 that contains an allegation of rape involving Trump. The document does not identify the source of the allegation, as names and other identifying details have been redacted. The DOJ website does not make this document very easy to find. You can see on how page 61, the PDF files go from F-000-20517 to F-000-20520. But if you look in 20517, you will find the document. Here's more reporting on 20518. Mediate rape claim. An FBI case file from late 2020 includes a rape accusation against the president. A limo driver said he overheard a very concerning phone call Trump had in 1995 where Trump kept saying the name Jeffrey. The limo driver, who has his name redacted, said Trump made references to abusing some girl. He later discussed driving Trump with a woman in 1999, the unnamed limo driver said. Donald J. Trump has raped me along with Jeffrey Epstein, the man said the woman told him. The limo driver said he urged the woman to tell the police, but she said she can't because they will kill me. The woman was later found with her head blown off in Oklahoma. To be fair, the limo driver's account of hearing from a woman that Trump raped the woman, well, that would be considered hearsay in a court of law and not allowed in as evidence. However, the accusation itself is incendiary in the court of public opinion, and that may explain why the Department of Justice has made it so challenging to find. The DOJ also posted this note on X saying, some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false. But how does the Trump administration's Justice Department know these claims are false if they were never pursued or investigated? That's been the key issue in the Epstein case. Many of the clients and accomplices never faced any legal repercussions or investigations. There are other documents in the Epstein files just released that are also generating breaking news.
The Justice Department released a new batch of documents in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, including chilling new evidence that some viewers may find disturbing. This is a jailhouse letter, apparently written by Jeffrey Epstein. It says J. Epstein, and it was sent to another infamous sex offender. That would be Larry Nassar. The letter appears to include a reference to President Trump.
The Epstein letter says, Dear Ellen, as you know by now, I have taken the short route home. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies at the hope they'd reach their full potential. Our president shares our love of young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. On CNN, an Epstein survivor reacted and spoke specifically about Donald Trump.
I think it's very apparent in that specific letter that was just publicized from the Epstein files. I think it's very apparent that there are a group of men that enjoy the company of young women and children. And I think that letter emphasizes that he knew what was going on. And that complicity is enough for me to know you have no business being in the position of power.
But as other documents indicated, it's not just that Donald Trump knew about Epstein's interest in young women. The documents indicate Trump himself enjoyed the young women. And according to at least one person the FBI interviewed, Donald Trump raped a woman. Trump has denied any wrongdoing in the Epstein case, but Trump has also denied traveling on Epstein's plane more than once or twice. Headline, many more Epstein flights. An early 2020 email in the documents claimed Trump traveled on Epstein's private plane many more times than previously has been reported. Those flights include 8 that happened between 1993 and 1996, according to the email, which has had the name of the sender and receiver redacted. If Donald Trump is privately infuriated over the Epstein files, well, he isn't showing much anger in public. Instead, Trump has been subdued and matter of fact when asked about his reaction.
This whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished.
Oh, it's not finished, Donald, because now we have seen documents accusing you of rape. Also, the Department of Justice has only released about 15% of all the Epstein files in its possession. And so far, the DOJ has not released any of the Epstein videotapes. Witnesses say that Epstein recorded nearly everything and everybody in his mansions. And documents released so far confirm that Epstein did have an elaborate surveillance and recording system. So the release of Trump-Epstein evidence has just begun.
The fact that he is named in multiple ways, what occurs to me in reading, just trying to go through the batch of documents that's been released, Chris, is that everybody that was in Epstein's orbit, including the president, knew what Epstein was doing. There are references by one person that we think was the former Duke of York to inappropriate guests, women. So everything in these files seems to indicate that, number one, Trump was deeply engaged with Epstein and that he knew what was going on. And the fact that their relationship was built, according to the New York Times report, on a desire for young women, really focused around that whole aspect of what Epstein was about, I think is very important. I will also note that when you initially tried to search the files for Trump, nothing showed up. If you searched for Trump with a space, then there were multiple items that showed up. So clearly, that to me also raises questions of, did the DOJ try to block the search for just the word Trump, but then they forgot to block the search for the word Trump with a space after it? I don't know how long that's going to stay live on the DOJ site, frankly, now that it's been pointed out.
By all accounts, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were the best of friends. They shared everything. And that itself may help explain why the Department of Justice has been trying to black out most Trump mentions, publicizing the files haphazardly, and refusing so far to follow the law's requirement to release everything, including, fair or not, accusations that Donald Trump raped a woman. By the way, Fox Business News recently admitted that Donald Trump is sinking the U.S. labor market.
4.6 is probably the number moving the needle right now.
This is the highest unemployment since September of 2021. Carol, you've got the October numbers as well.
We got October non-farm payrolls data. We saw a loss of 105,000 jobs non-farm for the month of October.
The violation. The law required a full searchable release. What we got instead? Partial files, massive blackouts, files disappearing, no explanations, and survivors exposed while the perpetrators are protected. Watch this clip.
We are tracking new and disturbing revelations from the DOJ's incomplete release of the Epstein files. We now have the grand jury's previously sealed indictment from 2019, in which prosecutors allege that, quote, Epstein sexually exploited and abused dozens of minor girls who were as young as 14 years old at the time they were abused. It also notes that Epstein, quote, encouraged certain of his victims to recruit additional girls to be similarly sexually abused. In so doing, Epstein maintained a steady supply of new victims to exploit. That is just one of the 130,000 documents that the DOJ has released. Now, that might sound like a lot, but it's far from all of the files. The DOJ now says they have an additional 1 million Epstein documents, which by law, they are required to release. The public, as well as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, want those files out. This is a rare issue that has Trump's MAGA base divided, but has also ignited those on the other side of the aisle. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene tells the New York Times that she's worried that her, quote, beloved MAGA movement is going off the rails because they were bickering over the Epstein files. Congressman Ro Khanna, who led the charge in passing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, says he believes that this is going to be a, quote, reckoning for America. Later in the hour, I'll talk to the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee who is leading the push for the Epstein documents to be released. Meanwhile, back at the White House, Donald Trump seems to be running scared. He continues to deflect, trying to blame Democrats for the fact that his DOJ has not released all of the files. It's an issue plaguing Trump's administration, although he himself signed the legislation that compelled the files release. In failing to release all of the files by the December 19th deadline, we should note that the DOJ is now in violation of that law. Joining me now to discuss this is ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia. He is leading the team of lawmakers who are seeking the full release of the DOJ's Epstein files. Welcome, Congressman. The DOJ is saying they have 1 million Epstein documents, but we've only seen a portion of them. What are the next steps that you and the committee plan to take?
Well, I think first we should be very clear with the American public that what's happening right now is completely illegal. These are illegal actions by the Attorney General, by the Trump administration. It has now been, of course, over a week. We're nearing 10 days where they have not responded to an act of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, to release all the files. You have the survivors being very public about the enormous amounts of mistakes, the way that they have been essentially putting information about survivors into the public. It's outrageous what is happening now. And so there is no question that this is about covering up. What the White House is covering up is really the question. Why won't Donald Trump release the full files? Our investigation team is going through these files every single day and very carefully. We know the media is doing the same thing. We will have a lot certainly to say in the weeks ahead, because right now what we're not getting is the full files. We're not getting a full release. They're hiding and over-redacting.
Right. So do you plan to take any legal action to confront this non-compliance from the DOJ?
So I've been in conversations with Jamie Raskin, who obviously leads the Judiciary Committee, and the two of us are actively discussing what those legal actions look like. We've been in conversation about these for weeks. We expected this to actually happen. There was no scenario where Donald Trump was somehow going to release all of the files after spending most of his presidency up to now essentially saying they're a hoax or deflecting or telling Pam Bondi that this investigation was essentially over. I mean, look, he a few days ago said that this investigation essentially was over. He's now over-redacting information about himself. He is not putting information out that we know should be in the actual files. And so it's not only the legal framework that is important moving forward, it's also about holding those that are now part of this cover-up accountable. And that is going to mean hearings. It is going to be a possible contempt action against the Attorney General when Congress is back in session. That is going to be continued public pressure. And that public pressure is working. You have Donald Trump's own MAGA base that are also beginning to turn on him. So all of that's possible.
So what we have seen from the files is actually incredibly interesting, some of it quite jarring. Recently, Miami Herald reporter Julie K. Brown, she is the reporter who did most of the reporting in 2019 on the Epstein saga. She posted a document on social media today showing that it appeared in the DOJ Epstein files personal information about her and a flight that she took in 2019. In that social media post, Brown asked why the DOJ would have this information from a private citizen among these files. Have you gotten an answer from the DOJ about why this information would be included and why the DOJ might be keeping tabs on a reporter?
Well, this is really concerning. So oversight Democrats absolutely flagged this as one of the major issues that we have seen in what's been released so far. And certainly we are in the process of trying to get an answer. But let's be very clear. The DOJ really has no interest in transparency, in responding to reporters, in responding to committee members. They're actually trying to just get to the truth. They rarely even try to respond to the survivors, let alone to members of our committee. And so it is really concerning. Why would the DOJ be tracking a key Epstein reporter who has done so much good work in actually exposing what's actually happening here and what's actually involved in this cover-up? And there's been a few other things that have been really concerning in just the last week. This whole idea that they found 1 million new documents, 1 million new documents. How does that not go noticed by the Department of Justice? We know that FBI agents have been working on the entire set of documents, and for this to spring up in the last week is outrageous and very concerning. Another concerning thing in the last few days. Now we know that they're overly redacting Donald Trump, the names of co-conspirators, the powerful men who raped and abused women and children. Why is it that they don't care about redacting all the information about survivors who've asked to be protected and which the law protects, yet they are overly redacting the names of the men who were the abusers? We know that the names and information about those that caused the abuse and rape and trafficking of girls are in these documents. And why is Donald Trump and the Attorney General protecting those men?
Like, very brief question, very brief answer, Congressman. You have new information, and your committee has new information about the banks that allegedly helped Jeffrey Epstein during this period of time. What do you plan to do with that information?
It's currently under review. It's incredibly complex information. We're actually working with both House Financial, our Financial Services Committee, and the House and Senate Finance Committee on the Senate side. We have 3 teams right now that are going through all the financial documents. We intend to get more information on that out pretty soon.
Maria Farmer. For the first time ever, the FBI's 1996 report from Maria Farmer is now public, proving she told the truth decades ago and was ignored. This confirms a catastrophic institutional failure. Trump and SDNY memos. Internal DOJ memos discuss Trump being implicated, and their excuse is he would have been charged by now. That's false. Non-prosecution is non-exoneration, especially under a corrupt DOJ. And when these files went through, Trump was originally in office the first time. Distraction and gaslighting. Instead of transparency, they're waving pictures of Bill Clinton to distract. Accountability is not selective. No one gets a pass. Accountability. Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche should resign. Congress is considering contempt, and survivors are organizing because justice has been delayed and denied. Watch this clip.
Out to the fallout, and it continues over the Justice Department's failure to meet the deadline to release all, that's what the law requires, all of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna and Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, they authored the law, announced late last night that they will bring inherent contempt charges against Attorney General Pam Bondi. In a statement, Khanna called the DOJ's failure to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, quote, an obstruction of justice, unquote. CBS News Department of Justice reporter Jake Rosen joins me now. Jake, walk me through what this means that the 2 lawmakers are trying to set in motion and what it might mean for the Attorney General, if anything.
Well, what it might mean, Major, is a potential $5,000 a day fine after a 30-day grace period. Our audience will remember on the 19th of this month is when these Epstein files were due in full to be delivered to the American people in some kind of searchable format. That has not happened. We've seen a trickle come out even as early as overnight from Monday into Tuesday. The Department of Justice has said these filings and these drops of documents are going to continue as attorneys continue to sort through them, redact sensitive information, and then release them. But again, the language of the law was very clear, which is what Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie have pointed to, which is that these files should have come out on the 19th in full. What this would mean is potentially a $5,000 a day fine, if not potentially moving further to hold Attorney General Bondi and potentially Deputy Attorney General Blanche in contempt of Congress. That being said, Major, Khanna said on a media appearance earlier this week that this really is not about those 2. It's about President Trump and holding these powerful men who were associated with Jeffrey Epstein accountable. As you know, there are a number of documents potentially relating to co-conspirators who were never indicted that he wants to see released. And he said that that's really what this is about, forcing information that has not yet been out before this 30-day grace period. He's willing to give these members of the Department of Justice out.
Once again, I want to thank you for watching the video till the end. I have a lot more coming on this as well as we update the process. And there was also just recently, they just announced that they found another 1 million documents. Also, the Midas Touch has estimated that at least over 10 million documents or more are missing. They've only released about 10%, if that. It's a mess. So be sure, once again, to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And please like this video and share it on your platforms. Really helps to get the message out and goes a long way. This is Exposed News Outlet with Drea. Once again, subscribe, share, like this video, and don't let them bury the truth. And as always, Be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Thank you.